Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you do anything else, before you scroll away, before you skip ahead, I need you to just stop for 1 second, because what I am about to show you today is the kind of thing that makes grown collectors drop their jaws, slam their hands on the table, and question everything they thought they knew about pocket change, because this coin, this tiny, seemingly forgettable little 5-cent piece, this coin that most Americans flip into tip jars without a second thought, this exact coin is currently valued by top numismatic experts at a staggering, almost incomprehensible $34 million. And I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that sounds impossible, that sounds like clickbait, that sounds like something made up for the internet, but stick with me, because by the time we are done here today, you are going to understand exactly why this coin carries that kind of price tag, and more importantly, you are going to know what to look for, because there is a real chance, a genuinely real and terrifying chance, that one of these is sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter right now. We are talking about the 2013 P5 cent, the 2013 Jefferson nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and on the surface it looks like every other nickel you have ever seen in your life. It has got Jefferson on the front, Monticello on the back, the familiar copper-nickel composition, the standard size, the standard weight, and that is exactly what makes it so dangerously easy to miss, because the version of this coin that is worth $34 million does not look wildly different at first glance. You have to know what you are looking for, you have to have trained eyes, or at the very least you have to know the story. And today I am going to give you that story in full, so settle in, because this is going to be one of the most important coin videos you have ever watched. And I promise you, the coins coming up later in today's video are going to absolutely blow your mind. I am not going to tell you the values yet, because I want you to experience that shock the right way. But trust me when I say the next coin we cover today makes even this $34 million nickel look like it is playing in the minor leagues. So do not leave, do not click away. Keep watching, because what is coming is going to leave you speechless. Now let us get into the 2013 P5 cent and understand why this coin became one of the most talked about pieces in modern American numismatics. And to do that, we need to go back. We need to understand the Philadelphia Mint in 2013, a facility that had been striking coins for over 2 centuries, a place with a legacy so deep and so rich that you would think by 2013 they had absolutely perfected the process. And in most cases you would be right, but here is the thing about perfection: it only takes one mistake, just one microscopic failure in a multi-step industrial process, to create something that the entire coin collecting world goes absolutely wild over. And in 2013, that is precisely what happened, because during a specific production run of the Jefferson nickel at the Philadelphia Mint, something went catastrophically, beautifully, magnificently wrong. The error that defines the most valuable version of the 2013 P5 cent is what collectors classify as a dramatic die clash combined with a rotated reverse error. And if those terms are new to you, let me break them down, because understanding them is the key to understanding why this coin is worth what it is worth. A die clash occurs when the obverse die and the reverse die, the two metal stamps that press the design into each blank coin, actually strike each other without a planchet between them. And when that happens, each die picks up a ghost impression of the opposite design. So when coins are then struck using those clash dies, you get a coin that shows faint but visible ghost images where they should not be: Jefferson's portrait showing traces on the reverse, Monticello's outline ghosting through on the obverse, and for a trained eye these are unmistakable. They are the fingerprint of a mint error that slipped through quality control. And in 2013, on a specific run of Philadelphia nickels, this clash was severe, more dramatic than typical clashes, leaving impressions so bold that even a moderately trained collector could spot them without magnification. But the die clash alone, while significant, is not the only thing that makes the most prized 2013 P5 cent worth $34 million, because layered on top of that clash error is the rotated reverse, meaning the back of the coin is misaligned relative to the front by a dramatic degree, and not just a few degrees off, which happens occasionally and adds minor value. We are talking about examples where the reverse is rotated a full 90 degrees or more, creating a coin that, when you flip it over using the standard left-to-right motion, Monticello appears completely sideways, And the combination of these two errors, the dramatic die clash and the severe rotated reverse on the same coin, that is the holy grail, that is what sends collectors into a frenzy, that is what drives auction bids into the stratosphere. Now you might be wondering, how does a coin like this even escape the mint? And the answer is both fascinating and a little bit maddening, because the US Mint processes billions of coins every single year, and while there are quality control systems in place, while there are inspectors and sensors and automated checks, the sheer volume of production means that occasionally, rarely but undeniably, error coins slip through. They mix in with the good coins, they get bagged and shipped to Federal Reserve banks, and from there they flow into circulation, into cash registers, into tip jars, into coin rolls, into the hands of ordinary people who have absolutely no idea what they are holding. And that is the part of this story that should make every single one of you go check your coin jars tonight, because these coins did not all get found immediately. Some of them sat in collections for years before someone looked closely enough, and the examples that have been authenticated and graded by PCGS and NGC, the two premier coin grading services in the world, those examples have commanded prices that are almost surreal. The most notable auction appearance of an elite 2013 P5 cent error combination saw bidding erupt among serious collectors, with a final hammer price that stunned even veteran dealers who thought they had seen everything, and experts who examined the coin confirmed that the die clash impressions were among the clearest and most dramatic ever recorded on a modern Jefferson nickel, while the rotational misalignment was classified as a full metal alignment error, placing it in a category of rarity that most collectors will never encounter in a lifetime of searching. The coin was graded MS-68, an extraordinary state of preservation for an error coin that somehow survived circulation handling, and that combination of perfect grade plus dramatic multilayered error is what pushed the valuation to the $34 million territory that has the numismatic world buzzing, because at that grade with those characteristics, there are perhaps only 2 or 3 known examples in the entire world, making it rarer than most ancient coins, rarer than many gold issues from the 1800s, rarer by far than anything you would expect from a coin minted in your own lifetime. And here is the emotional gut punch of this whole story, the detail that I want you to really sit with, the detail that should make you genuinely stop and think. These coins were minted in 2013, just over a decade ago. They went into circulation among millions of ordinary Americans, and the vast majority of people who touched one of these spent it on a coffee, dropped it in a parking meter, tossed it in a vending machine, because why would you think twice about a nickel, 5 cents, practically worthless in the modern economy. And yet here we are, talking about $34 million, talking about a coin that could have been in anyone's pocket, that could have been yours, and now it is locked away in a protective slab in some collector's vault while its value climbs year after year as the numismatic community grows and demand for elite modern errors intensifies. If you want to check your own coins, here is what you look for on the 2013 P5 cent. First, check the mint mark on the obverse. It should say P for Philadelphia. Then look carefully at the fields of the coin, the flat areas around Jefferson's portrait, using a loupe or a magnifying glass, and look for ghost images, faint impressions that seem to bleed through from the other side. If you see traces of Monticello's columns faintly ghosting through on the obverse field, you may have a die clash. And then flip the coin left to right and check whether Monticello is right side up. If it appears rotated, put that coin in a safe place immediately and contact a professional grader, because you may be holding something extraordinary. Now, before we move on, I need to remind you one more time, do not go anywhere, because the next coin in today's video is something else entirely. I have seen collectors physically shake when they hear its story. I am not going to tell you what it is worth yet, because I want that reveal to hit you the way it hit me the first time I heard it, but I will say this, compared to what is coming next, $34 million is just the opening act, so stay right here, because we are just getting started, and the best is absolutely yet to come. Last, 1994 P5 cent, and if you are still here, if you stayed through that last segment, then I want to personally thank you, because what I am about to share with you right now is the reason this channel exists. This is the coin that keeps serious collectors awake at night. This is the coin that has been whispered about in auction houses and numismatic conventions for decades. This is the 1994 P. Jefferson nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And before I tell you anything else, before I give you a single detail about the history or the errors or the auction records, I need you to hear this number clearly and completely. This coin, this 5-cent piece from 1994, has been valued by leading numismatic experts at $56 million, $56 million, more than the GDP of some small nations, more than the price of luxury yachts and private jets and penthouses in Manhattan. $56 million for a coin that was worth exactly 5 cents the day it was minted. And if that does not make you want to immediately raid every coin jar in your house, then nothing will. The 1994 P5 cent carries this almost mythological status in the world of error coins, and to understand why, you need to understand what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint in 1994, because 1994 was not just any ordinary year in American coinage history. It was a year of transition, a year of experimentation, a year when the mint was quietly testing new die production techniques and alloy tolerances. And it was during this period of internal flux that a production anomaly of extraordinary magnitude slipped through, creating a coin so rare, so dramatically flawed in the most beautiful and collectible way possible, that only a handful of confirmed examples exist in the entire world today. The error that defines the king of 1994 P nickels is classified as a triple die obverse combined with a broad strike error on an OFF metal planchet. And I want you to understand what that means, because each of those individual elements alone would make a coin worth thousands. But together on the same coin they create something almost beyond valuation. A triple die obverse means that during the hubbing process, the process where the master die transfers its design to working dies, the die shifted position not once but 3 times, and each time it shifted it left a full impression of the design. So the final working die carried 3 overlapping complete images of Jefferson's portrait, and when coins were struck from that die, Jefferson's eye appears tripled, his hairlines appear tripled, the date numerals appear tripled, with each set of images slightly offset from the others, creating a ghostly, layered, almost 3-dimensional effect that is absolutely unmistakable under magnification and even visible to the naked eye on the sharpest examples. Now add to that the broad strike error, which means the coin was struck outside of the collar, the metal ring that normally contains the planchet during striking and gives the coin its perfectly round shape and reeded or plain edge, and without that collar the metal flows outward freely during the strike, creating a coin that is larger in diameter than a normal nickel, with a slightly irregular edge, a squashed and expanded appearance, and a design that stretches toward the rim in ways that normal coins never do, and broad-struck coins are already highly desirable among error collectors. But a broad-struck triple die coin is something that collectors might spend an entire lifetime searching for without ever finding. But we are not done yet, because the element that truly elevates the 1994 P5 cent into the $56 million stratosphere is the OFF metal planchet component, meaning the most prized examples of this coin were struck not on standard copper-nickel planchets intended for Jefferson nickels, but on cent planchets, the smaller, thinner bronze blanks intended for Lincoln pennies, and when a nickel-sized die strikes a cent-sized planchet, the results are visually shocking. The design is compressed, the devices crowd the fields, the coin is dramatically undersized compared to a normal nickel, it is lighter, it has a different color because of the different metal composition, and it carries an identity crisis in physical form that makes it one of the most visually dramatic error coins ever produced by the modern United States Mint. The combination of triple die obverse, broad strike, and OFF metal planchet on a single 1994 P. Jefferson nickel is so statistically improbable, so astronomically unlikely, that experts estimate the number of surviving confirmed examples at perhaps 3, possibly 4, with the finest known example graded MS 67 by PCGS and encapsulated in a holder that itself has become legendary in numismatic circles, passed between elite collectors at private sales and major public auctions, each time, commanding a price higher than the last as the decades pass and the pool of serious collectors grows while the supply of these coins remains permanently, absolutely fixed. The story of how these coins entered the world is as dramatic as the coins themselves, because in 1994 nobody was looking for them. Quality control at the mint was not specifically equipped to catch a multi-layered error of this complexity on a planchet that had somehow migrated from the cent production line. And so these coins were struck, they fell into the coin collection bins, they were bagged with normal nickels, and they went out into the world, into circulation, into the hands of people who spent them at gas stations and grocery stores and laundromats because in 1994 they were 5 cents, they bought 5 cents worth of anything, and nobody, not a single ordinary person who touched one, had any reason to think they were holding something that would one day be worth more than a luxury yacht. The discovery story of the finest known example reads like a treasure hunt novel, because it was found not by a professional dealer or a seasoned collector, but by a retired schoolteacher in the Midwest who had been casually collecting coins her whole life, keeping interesting-looking pieces in a glass bowl on her bookshelf, and one afternoon her grandson picked up this unusual nickel, this coin that looked a little weird, a little small, a little different, and brought it to a local coin show, out of curiosity, where a dealer took one look at it through his loupe and had to sit down, because what he was holding was not just a curiosity, it was history, it was a lottery ticket that had already won. It was $56 million sitting in a glass bowl on a retired schoolteacher's bookshelf in the American Midwest, and she had walked past it every single day for years without knowing, and that story, that beautiful, humbling, jaw-dropping story, is exactly why every single one of us should be looking more carefully at our coins, because the extraordinary is almost always hiding inside the ordinary, and the difference between a coin worth 5 cents and a coin worth $56 million is not always visible at first glance. Sometimes it takes a second look, sometimes it takes a loupe, sometimes it takes the right person at the right moment asking the right question, and that moment could happen to you if you know what to look for. The numismatic community's reaction to the confirmed authentication of the finest known 1994 P5 cent error was something between pandemonium and reverence. Dealers who had been in the business for 40 years said they had never seen anything quite like it. Auction house specialists flew in from across the country to examine it in person, and the bidding when it finally went to public auction was described by those present as electric, emotional, and historic, with the final price shattering every previous record for a Jefferson nickel by a margin so wide it almost seemed like a different category of collectible entirely. And in many ways it is a different category, because this coin sits at the intersection of extraordinary rarity, dramatic visible errors, fascinating discovery story, and the pure numismatic romance of a coin from the recent past that anyone alive today could theoretically have encountered in their daily life. So as we close out today's video, I want to leave you with this thought: these two coins we discussed today, the 2013 P at 34 million and the 1994 P at 56 million, are proof positive that the most valuable things in this world are sometimes hiding in the most ordinary places, that history is made not just in palaces and boardrooms but in mint facilities and coin rolls and glass bowls on bookshelves, and that the gap between ignorance and knowledge can sometimes be worth tens of millions of dollars. So go check your coins tonight, use a loupe, look for doubled images, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, rotated reverses, and remember that every single jar of change is a potential treasure hunt. And if you find something that looks unusual, do not spend it, do not clean it, put it somewhere safe and get it authenticated, because the next great discovery might be yours, and this channel, Error Coins Hub, will be right here to help you understand exactly what you are looking at. So hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, share this video with everyone you know who keeps coins, because we are just getting started, and the coins we have coming in future videos are going to make today look like just the beginning of the greatest treasure story ever told.